All right, so this is basically the solution to 2022 November QP4 JavaScript, in which we have a scenario of the mouse over function. I mean, we have seen on click, but this is something which is related to when your pointer is basically moving over an object or text in your HTML. So it says open mouse over task.html in a text editor, and also the same file to be opened up in a browser so that you can see what effect it has. So we will open our Dreamweaver, and mouse over is basically this. So we are going to drag drop in Dreamweaver. The very first thing that you do is you check your design. Okay? So we do have elements which are going to be added in this. And if we press F12, this is how it looks in our browser. Right? We have a table, we have some images, there's some text. Okay? There are no input boxes, there are no buttons. So let's look at the requirement of the paper. So once opened, it says you are required to add JavaScript code to the mouse over task.html file to display the text provided in the mouse over text.rtf file when the mouse cursor hovers over the instruction. Basically, this operation or this function comes into play when your mouse or your pointer is going to, hover, just point, no clicks. It will just move over onto that element of your HTML and something will happen. Okay? So this is basically there in your document as well. The JavaScript notes, if you scroll towards the very end, you will get to see the mouse over thing over there. Right? So what we are required to do, we are to use the text file, the RTF file, which is mouse over text. In our text file, they have told us that this text is to be displayed when no mouse over event. Science should be displaying this text. Computer science should be displaying this text. Engineering should be displaying this text. If you look at our browser, you can see that this text is already being displayed. Same text. So when the mouse is not over it, it should be displaying this text. And then in the same file, they have told us to, display this text for mouse over display. So when the mouse is over this science or the science text over here, the science text. So when it is over this text, it should be displaying this whole thing. You get the point? Now, if we are to review our HTML through the code, let me zoom in. All right. So which text is to be changed? This. If I select this and I click on the code, I get to see that this is being defined with H2 style. You can see that placeholder ID for science faculty text is given, placeholder ID for computer science faculty text, and placeholder ID for engineering faculty text is also given. And if you look at the tag for this particular line, it says that this is an H2 style with an ID what? Science. This is the ID for that place where the text is displayed. We need that ID because we are to display the text over that particular position, right? Then what do you see? Normally what do you have on buttons? On click. Over here, what do you have? On mouse over. On mouse over. When the mouse is going to be over that element, it will call what? It will call this function, which is science 1. Okay. Then on mouse out. This is another event. So when the mouse is going to move away from that element, it will call this function. You get the point? So when it moves over this, it will display some other text. When it moves away from it, it will display some other text. They have given the text in the txt file. Same scenario has to be done for science. Same scenario has to be done for computer science and engineering. And it will only be called not on click, but mouse over and mouse out. They have done at least 50% of the work. We only have to add the text. This carries what? 10 marks? 15 marks? Acha. Now let's write or start a script. So we write down script and we end the script. Look at this. I will add one line comment for what? For code for science placeholder. This is going to be the code for my science placeholder. The code is what? We are to display where? Over this ID. So we simply write document.get element by ID this dot inner HTML, and we are going to put our text. However, mouse over is going to call this function. So we need this. I'm going to copy this function by this name is going to be initiated when the mouse is going to be over that element, right? In the curly brackets, when the mouse moves over that text, it is to display document.get element by ID. What's the ID? The ID is science. So science. Be careful about the case sensitivity. Dot inner HTML equals to. Now we need to put in our text. When the mouse is going to be over that, it will call this function. We have defined this function in our script. It will be displaying some text. That text is going to be taken from the txt file. So when the mouse is over that, it should display this text, which is this. Copy paste. Done. Let's check. So my pointer is here. If I move it over this, it changes. However, please note that if I move my mouse away from the text, it remains the same. However, it has to what? Change back to the original text. So simple. We are going to take the same, or we can just copy the same function for our mouse out. For mouse out, it is basically going to call this function. So we are going to change the name of this function now. This is this function. The ID remains the same, inner.html remains the same, but the text changes. So we are going to change the text for science, which is over here. So this should be displayed. We're going to copy it and we're going to paste it. So basically mouse over is calling one function, mouse out is calling another function. No. Mouse over is an event, just like on click. When it says on click, it is basically going to call a function. It will call the function from the script, no problem. But that function only has one element, or we have defined only one operation to be done, which is to display the text at a particular ID. That is the only requirement. If we run this, now my pointer is here. If I move it over the computer science, nothing happens. Engineering, nothing happens. We only modified science, right? So mouse over changes text. Mouse out changes text. So this is what the requirement was. When it moves over that text, it will change. When it moves away from the text, it will change back to its normal text. Same is to be done for computer science, same is to be done for engineering. So simple. We can make use of the same function that we have written. Yeah, exactly. So I can do what? We copied the text, I guess. So note that computer science has mouse over and mouse out. Similarly, engineering also has mouse over, mouse out, right? So we are going to define the same function. One, we'll take this, copy it. One, two, three, four. Now we're going to change. So over here, I'm going to add the comment that, okay, this one is for computer science, right? Code for computer science. Because it always says the annotate your code. So this is for computer science. Two are going to be used. And then this is the code for engineering. Code for engineering. This needs to be a comment. Now we're going to change the functions. Okay. So computer science mouse over is going to be this. Copy this. This I'm going to change it here. Mouse out is basically this one. It's going to call this. So we're going to change it here. Similarly for engineering, mouse over is engineering 1. Come down, we are going to replace this. And mouse out is engineering 2. So copy this, come down and replace this. Let me do this again. Copy and paste. This done. Now the IDs for computer science it was different. Science it was different and engineering was different. So this is computer science. So we're going to take the ID, come to the computer science. This ID needs to get changed and over here as well. Computer science. Now the text. For mouse over, it's different. Mouse out, it's different. We're going to replace the text over here. Let me copy the text from the text file. So computer science mouse out is this, which is mouse out is this one. And then mouse over is this one. Copy it and paste it. Similarly for engineering, let's take the ID first. The ID is engineering 1. No, the ID is engineering. Take this, replace engineering, and this is engineering as well. Then we are going to replace the text for engineering. I take the text. For mouse over, this is the text to be displayed, which is engineering 1. And for mouse out, it is this. So we are going to replace it over or place it over here. Let's run this. Mouse over science changes this. Mouse out, mouse over, mouse out, mouse over, mouse out. So all the texts are changing when I move the mouse over that placeholder. That was the only requirement that we had to do for this. Annotate your code, comments to explain each stage of the script. You can annotate for each scenario that when I move the mouse over on this, it will change it to this text. If I move the mouse out of this text or the placeholder, it will change it back to that particular text. That was the only requirement, and this was the solution to your 2022 QP4 JavaScript.